So Christine Ford, the accuser of Judge Kavanaugh, has now presented a list of demands, conditions that must be met if she's going to testify and put her allegations on the record. Here's the Huffington Post with their report on these conditions. It says attorneys for Christine Ford reportedly presented the Senate Judiciary Committee with a list of conditions on Thursday, moving forward negotiations for hearing before the committee next week. Some of the conditions included Kavanaugh not being present during Blassi's testimony and for the committee to not turn the hearing into a media circus. Oh, yes. Yeah, the committee. They're the ones turning this into a media circus. Attorneys Deborah Katz and Lisa Banks offered the suggestions during a call held with committee staff members on Thursday night. The negotiations for the hearing mostly focused on logistics and safety issues and lasted about 30 minutes. During the call, Blassi's legal team asked that Kavanaugh speak first at the hearing. The attorneys also asked if the senators could preside over questioning instead of bringing in outside counsel. With no female Republicans on the committee, the senators considered using their female aides to question Blasey at the hearing. Her attorneys also asked if the committee could subpoena Mark Judge, who's the other guy that was allegedly there. They also discussed having only one camera in the room during the hearing and asked if the hearing could take place on Thursday instead of Monday. Okay, so she wants to delay the hearing until Thursday. She doesn't want any lawyers there. She doesn't want to be questioned by the aides of the committee members. She wants to be questioned by the committee members themselves. She doesn't want Kavanaugh there, and she wants Kavanaugh to testify before her. Now, it's interesting that she doesn't want the female aides to come in and question her. And she doesn't want any lawyers there. She doesn't want to be questioned by lawyers. She wants to be questioned by these Republican men, right? Now, I wonder why that is. Could it be that Ford wants the damaging and embarrassing spectacle of a bunch of old white men asking her about her alleged teenage sexual assault? Does she want to embarrass Republicans and to damage them? Well, yeah, that's exactly what she wants, obviously. But I ask you this: a traumatized woman who is just seeking truth and justice, does she act like this? Is this how she goes about it? Does she make these kinds of calculations? Is she as politically strategic as this? If she just wants to tell the truth and get the truth out there, is this what she's doing? Does this make sense? And then you have, worst of all, you have the demand that Kavanaugh testify first. This is unbelievably absurd. And this is where we have to kind of take the, there's no way to dance around it and try to be nice to Christine Ford and everything. No, this is just wrong. That she wants Kavanaugh to defend himself against allegations on the record before the allegations have been made on the record. She wants him to defend himself against her charges before she's made the charges. So what is he defending himself against? Rumors? Media reports? The stuff that he saw on Twitter? No, this is crazy. There's a reason why in a court of law you get to face your accuser, number one, and number two, your accuser makes the accusations first, and then you go. They make the accusations, they present whatever evidence they have, and then you go. But what Ford wants and what the Democrats want, they want guilty until proven innocent. They want the presumption of guilt. And then Kavanaugh has to prove his innocence, prove a negative, prove that he didn't do something at some point 35 years ago. And they want him to do that before the actual allegations have been put on the record. This is inexcusable. It's wrong. And it makes Christine Ford look like a liar. That's what it makes her look like. She is presenting herself as a liar and a manipulator. Now, I don't know if she's either of those things, but that is how she's presenting herself right now. And there seems to be this certain, attitude that, well, because Ford is a victim, she should get to do what she wants, and she's above criticism. But there's a problem with that attitude. First of all, I'm not at all convinced that she is a victim. That's we don't operate under the assumption that she's a victim. She has to prove that, and she hasn't proved it. So, liberals are obviously going to operate under the assumption that she's telling the truth, but they're operating under that assumption because it would be politically convenient for them if she were telling the truth. So that's why they decided that she is. But of course, in reality, we have been given no reason to believe Ford at this point. We've been given a lot of reasons not to believe her. The lack of evidence, the lack of detail, the way this stuff has been presented, her unwillingness to just come forward straightforwardly and tell the story. I mean, all these things, they have only enhanced the credibility of Kavanaugh, and they have detracted from her credibility. So we have been given no reason whatsoever at this point to believe anything she's saying. She has acted every step of the way like a political agent. She has acted like somebody with an agenda, okay? And that is an agenda beyond simply telling the truth. And here's the other thing. Even if she is telling the truth, even if she did have this experience with Kavanaugh 35 years ago, which again, I'm not at all convinced that she did, but even if she did, that doesn't mean that she's beyond reproach. It doesn't mean she gets to dictate terms. It doesn't mean that that we can't hold her to some kind of standard. It doesn't put her above criticism. This is one of the worst things about modern American culture is this idea that victimhood puts you above criticism, above scrutiny. And we say, well, she's a victim, so it's okay. No, that's wrong. Whether she's telling the truth or not, and I don't think we are getting the truth from her, at least not the whole truth. But how she has handled this situation has been, in my view, simply wrong. Terribly wrong. Awfully wrong. Starting with the decision to hold on to this story for 35 years and then drop it like a bomb into the middle of a Supreme Court confirmation hearing. Listen, I know not everyone will agree with this, but I really think that if you have a terrible experience, if something terrible happens to you, like the thing that Ford alleges, and if you're going to come forward and tell that story at all, it's reasonable to expect that you do that sometime before the 35-year mark, okay? And if you wait that long and you've told no one and you have no evidence, well, then you know what? It's too late. You waited too long. You waited until there's no chance that you can prove your allegations, and now you're coming forward at the worst possible time. And you could say, well, she just wants justice. What, she didn't want justice right after it happened? She didn't want justice 5 years after it happened, 10 years after it happened, 20 years after it happened, 25 years after it happened, 30 years after it happened? She didn't want justice any of those times, and now she suddenly wants justice? I don't know. I'm sorry. I just don't... And not only did she wait this long, but she's been playing these games. I will testify. I won't testify. Okay, I'll come, but here are my conditions. I don't want one camera there. I don't want him there. I want him to go first. I want the committee members. I don't want the female aides. I don't want lawyers, so on and so forth. And the whole country has to wait with bated breath while Christine Ford decides what she wants to do. And this is okay because why? Because she says she was assaulted 35 years ago? No, that's crazy. That doesn't justify it. It doesn't. Victimhood does not give you this kind of currency where you get to do whatever you want without being subject to any kind of scrutiny. Donald Trump sent out some tweets this morning, and he's getting a lot of criticism because he said, well, if this happened, why didn't she call the police? And yeah, I know there are plenty of times when somebody is really victimized, raped, et cetera, and they don't go to the police for any number of reasons. They're afraid, they're confused, they have guilt, they whatever, so many different things. But I think it's still a legitimate question. It's a totally legitimate question. Because you never went to the local police, and now you want the FBI to investigate? 35 years? So you had all that time, you never went to the local law enforcement, and then 35 years later, you want the FBI to investigate. I think it's a perfectly reasonable question to ask, why didn't you ever report this to anybody? That is a very reasonable question. And it deserves an answer. And it's an answer that should have already been given. And I think there's a very real question to be asked about, like, even if something like this happened, is it the right thing to do to come out 35 years later to try to use it against the person while they're on the cusp of some kind of, promotion or something. Like, you hold on to it all this time, and now you want to use it to destroy them 35 years later. Is that really the right thing to do? Does it automatically become right because of your victim status? I don't think so. Now, let me stipulate one thing. I don't think that Christine Ford is the villain in this situation. I think she's made decisions and behaved in a way that is pretty inexcusable, but the villains are the Democrats. And they obviously are using her. They are happily, eagerly destroying Brett Kavanaugh. And they're pretending suddenly to care about women, even though they didn't care about women when Bill Clinton was raping them, allegedly. They didn't care about women when Ted Kennedy drowned one in his car, so now they're pretending to, so they're liars. But what makes this even more disgusting, what makes this just so dark and evil, is the reason why they are doing this. Yeah, the reason is they want to prevent, obviously, Kavanaugh from being confirmed, but why do they want to prevent it? Why are they so desperate to prevent it? In fact, they're so desperate to get rid of Kavanaugh, but now there's a few Democrats have gone on the record now and said that even if Kavanaugh is confirmed, when the Democrats are in control of Congress, they're going to investigate him anyway. That's how desperate they are to get rid of him, that they will investigate a sitting Supreme Court justice because of allegations from 35 years ago. So when they get into power, they want to impeach the president, and they want to get rid of a Supreme Court justice. But why? Why are they so desperate to stop Kavanaugh from being a Supreme Court justice? Well, we all know the answer. The answer is abortion. There's a reason why Supreme Court hearings turn into a circus only after Roe v. Wade. Democrats are desperate to hold on to their ability and their power to kill babies. They are owned by the abortion industry. They have sold their soul to the abortion industry. And liberals have this godlike power to kill babies, and they are desperate to hold on to it. And they will do anything. That's what this is about. So remember that. Remember what this is really about. It's about killing babies. All right, I'm going to cut it off early. I'm going to leave it there. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Godspeed.